welcome to today's episode of the Squad Podcast. I'm your girl, Coach Tocha Moore. Y'all, your girl is losing her voice. I'm a cheer and a dance mom, and we had competitions this weekend. Both of them did, but that's okay. We are here, present, and accounted for. How are we doing, ladies? How are we doing with our goals for this week? Hope we reached them. If we did, we're going to love on ourselves, give ourselves a big, big hug. And if we didn't, that's okay. We're going to clean the slate, one clap, because we tried, and we're going to keep moving. Today is a new day. Yo, I am so excited today to have one of my really, really, really good friends with us on the episode of the Squad Podcast, Miss Alex Litz. Y'all, she's absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for y'all to hear her story. We're, your girl is growing in the area of technology, so she is not here. My friend has moved away, but I'm so thankful that I still get the opportunity to have you guys hear her story. It's amazing. And Alex, hey girl, hey.
You have so much energy on this. It's amazing. It's so great. Honestly, I was like, oh my gosh, trying to prep myself for coming into this podcast. I'm like, you got to get energetic. And you made me energetic right there, more than any jumping jacks could have.
Thank you, girl. I appreciate that so very much. Y'all, I absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, love this lady. And girl, I'm always on 1,000. I try not to be, so I try to match energy. So I'll bring it down just a little bit.
Don't you dare bring it down. No, don't you do that. Don't. I want to have high energy, but
I try to match energy. I really and truly do. And
Well,
so I'm a lot. I know.
that.
I'm very aware. It's okay.
Bring it. Bring all the high energy.
And I had coffee this morning, so I'm sure that didn't help. I'm on 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
So today, y'all, we have a very special episode for you today. Y'all, we're going to be talking about something big that I feel like will resonate with so many women. We're talking about taking something from, Lord, I lost my spot. Okay. Building something big from something small. Okay, from somewhere small, right? Miss Alex Litz, I'm going to let her introduce herself to you, but I am going to give you a little bit about who she is. So on today, she's going to be talking about what you can do at your kitchen table, countertop, backyard, wherever you are, how you can create a space to accomplish anything that you want. Alex, yep, she did it, y'all. We're talking babies, business, spreadsheets, snacks, and everything in between. How she was able to create something so amazing for her family from her home. Miss Alex, y'all, we met because my girl was trying to recruit me to a team. I'm in real estate, and so that is how we met. And from there, just so many beautiful things have happened. Alex started
Except,
an environment.
whoa. Except you never joined the team. You never let me recruit you fully.
But she kept meeting with me, y'all, and we blossomed into this beautiful friendship because she was relentless and I was stubborn, and so But here we are, right, friends, from something so crazy. Yeah. So, Alex, is of the mindset, why not do it all? If we're going to do it, we're going to do all the things, right? That's just who she is in her internal core. And she has a beautiful background from being an environmentalist, all kinds of things. But I want to introduce you to Miss Alex Litz. I will let her give y'all a little brief bio of who she is. Hey, girl.
Oh my gosh. I feel like the pressure is on because you made me sound amazing, but I am learning.
You are amazing.
Thank you. But I'm learning. And it's so cool. Like, I think we are in the middle of building something really cool and something that could be, it grows with each year for sure. But I think it's super important for people to know that it's not an overnight thing. Like, I thought it was going to be an overnight thing whenever I stepped into this. I was like, I've got it. I've got a great mindset. I'm amazing. Like, I can do all these things and I'm going to do all these things and it's going to be awesome. And like, I was also pregnant at the time with my third, so, but it doesn't happen like that. So I'm just say that, like, I appreciate all the things that you're saying. And I think we do have something super cool and, but there's also a struggle that goes into it. And the struggle is real. The struggle is real, but I think you pick your struggle, right? You pick your heart sometimes.
Girl, listen, the beautiful chaos is real. Okay,
Oh,
it is. But I love that you just kept on going. Y'all, did you hear her when she said, not only, she left out this part, not only was she pregnant, she moved her family to a whole nother state. Well, no, a whole nother town. We're still in the same state,
4 hours away.
city. 4 hours away, right? And so that's the part that inspires me, that even in the beautiful chaos, you didn't wait for perfection, right? Like, oh, all these things have got to be. You moved with purpose. And I absolutely love that. Like, we're going. Yep, we're doing it. We're selling. We're doing all the things, and I'm pregnant. But who cares? Like, we're gonna do this. I remember her transitioning from the role that she was in at the time, and everybody was like, ain't she pregnant? And then my girl was like, and I am. And I'm still going to do this. I
I
am.
was like,
And I'm still going to.
this pregnancy is not going to slow me down. But I mean, there were moments where the pregnancy should have absolutely slowed me down. Like there's some of that too. So, anywho, background. People are listening. They're probably like, "What does she even do? Like, what does she do?" Which I still am trying to figure out how to explain to people what I do. Honestly, um, I don't know. Like, should I just go? Should I go and tell the whole origination story about?
100%. 100%.
Okay, okay. So yes, environmentalist. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania on 40 acres, and I spent my days as a child, teenager, young adult, literally just out in the woods, always. And I always knew from the moment I probably like 6 years old, I was like, I'm going to be a scientist. Like, I always knew that that's what I was going to do. And I think that relentless pursuit just, there were some things that I went through in my childhood, like my parents are great and but things happen, right? Things I went through in my childhood, things that I went through in my teenage years that I think kept trying to get in the way of my relentless pursuit to be a scientist. There was a point in time in my life where I had just like really bad anxiety and panic attacks, and I was always that person that like I took in college a full 18 credit loads, and I worked two jobs. And, I graduated from college and I got a job, but then I was still working another job. And all my friends were like, why? Like, you're working in your field. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what else I don't know how to not do, but it's, but that mindset and that mentality and that need to always like do and do more and prove more and be better, it led me to a place of just having severe anxiety and like panic disorder. It was really bad. It was really bad. I was serving and waiting tables in Red Lobster, and I was like trying to speak to somebody and get their order, and I literally just like in the middle of taking their order started hyperventilating. I turned around and put my tray on the bar and left. And I had like, and I left like crying and trying to breathe, and I just like quit. That was it. That was the end of, and that was from that panic and all that pressure that I was putting on myself for God knows what reason. But I just really wanted to be a scientist. And there were things that were just like not working out. But fast forward, I left Pittsburgh, moved to South Carolina, worked in an environmental consulting firm in South Carolina. And then I got a job with Georgetown County. I was their environmentalist, and I loved that. And, there were some hardships and some troubles there too. So I left that in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I quit. My last day was February 14th of 2020. And I started with Coastal Carolina University.
Mm-hmm.
And then on March 1st, everything shut down. And I had two kids, and they were a year old and 6 months old. And my husband was still working. He was still going into work, and because he was considered an essential employee. So
Mm-hmm.
at the time, it was like the university was telling everybody to work from home, and I'm like, how? Like, how am I supposed to work?
Right.
I've got these tiny two little babies, like, and and I have no help because nobody can come to the house. This is the very beginning of 2020. My mom wasn't coming to the house. My in-laws, they weren't coming. Everyone was afraid, you know? My husband was
Mm-hmm.
still going into work, so it was like, how was I going to do this? So I ended up getting laid off, like leave without pay in
Mm-hmm.
from that job. And then eventually in July they got this so the coastal Carolinas through the state, and the state has to, when they fire people, essentially like mass fire people, the state has
Mm-hmm.
to approve. So it took from like March to July for the state to approve to fire me and several other people on staff. Um, so I ended up losing first time. It was the first time I'd ever been like fired from a job. And it was
Wow.
because I couldn't I couldn't accomplish. I was still learning the job.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't I was scared, I think along with the rest of the country. I was
Mm-hmm.
stressed. I didn't necessarily love the people I was working with.
That.
There's that. Um and I had these two babies that just needed my attention. And I mean, for anyone out there that's, working mom, like, especially when they're that young, when they're like between the ages of, we'll call it 1 to maybe 5, or less than 1, right? Well, I'm gonna call it 1 because I feel like at 1 they start getting super active, and then it's really
Right.
right. And then when they're babies, it's like you can figure out how to do the things during the naps. But
Mm-hmm.
like when they start sleeping less, and they're walking and they're getting into everything or whatever. That's whenever it's super tough. And then I think 5, because I don't know, maybe 4. By the time my kids got to like 4 and 5, and out of necessity, I was like, yeah, you gotta start listening. Look, I'm teaching you how to make peanut butter and jelly today. Because if I'm on a
Right now,
call,
in
yeah,
the kitchen, everybody line up. We're doing the things.
yeah,
Listen,
you're hungry. You're making yourself peanut butter and jelly.
listen. Snacks are on the bottom shelf, so they're within reach for you. Okay.
Exactly.
Listen, I understand. My youngest two are a year and a half apart.
Yeah.
And man, the muck and the crazy of that, the beautiful chaos is what I call it, because it's
Mm.
beautiful to be able to be home with them in most moments. And some you're like, I'm in a corner in a ball crying
Yeah.
because it is a lot. It is a lot, but it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. I'll say that. So I understand right where you are, girlfriend.
Oh my
So you're at
God.
home with the two littles, you've lost your job at Coastal, then what?
Then, in pure Alex fashion, I'm like, well, let's just sell our house and move to the country and get a homestead. And so we had this house in a subdivision.
Yo,
And
this girl is outside. I'm a girl. I'm like, what are we going outside for? Like, what is there a reason we're going outside? And Alex is like, all the things. My girl, chicken. She didn't have cows. I was gonna say cows, but chickens outside.
turkey.
Like when I went to her house, I was like, you got chickens? She's like, yeah, girl. I remember she came into the office with this box, and I was like,
What's in that
is that
box?
is that what? Is that making? Is it moving? And she was like, yeah. What, turkeys? It was turkeys.
It was
And
turkey.
she was like, there's turkeys in this box. I was like, you lying. And I am literally about to run. I'm like, please don't open the box. Don't open the box. Everybody else was like, oh, let me see. And I'm like, no, don't let us see. I don't want to see. But she is, she says homestead, she's not lying. I literally called her and was like, I think I'm lost. She's like, no, just keep coming. Keep coming. We haven't gotten here yet.
You're not lost. I see you. I could see you. I could see your car as you were like pulling up, and you're like, no, this can't be a road. I'm
I
like,
was
this
like,
is
this
a
is
road.
not a road. She's
It's a
like,
road.
just keep coming. Keep coming.
Just keep. I see
Okay.
you. Yeah, that's where I was like, we're 20. I think a lot of people though in 2020 did that. Like I think a lot of people were
Yeah.
like, I got to get out of here. I got to get away from people. I got to, there was like this whole homestead movement in the last like
Yeah.
5 years, I think. And I jumped on that. I jumped on that bandwagon. Like I will say that I jumped on that bandwagon, but I grew up like that in a lot of ways
Yes.
too,
100%.
So it was
Hmm.
like there were things, there were skills that I already had, and then there were skills that I wanted to learn how to do. And like gardening, I mean, I can grow all my own food. Like I got that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
that's like a skill that I learned growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wanted to learn how to do that from like, because I'm not a vegetarian. I've tried to be a vegetarian, but I'm not. So I'm like, I got to learn how to grow my own meat too. And that's a whole
Right.
other, like, we could have a whole podcast about like why we have to eat healthier and like be smarter about where we're sourcing our food and everything. We could, but
Mm-hmm.
I won't go down. Not today. I'm not.
Remember the environmentalist in her, girl. She's
Yeah,
still there. But go ahead, girl.
still there, still there. But so, anywho, we sold our house in the suburbs, which, by
Mm-hmm.
the way, at our suburb house, speaking of environmentalists, I still had a unusually large garden. I was growing enough food in 2020 to feed the whole damn neighborhood. And I had 4 turkeys in my backyard that looked like wild turkeys. They got out one time, went down the road, like trying to get into a neighbor's garage. I was like, oh, this is a problem. Like,
You're getting kicked out. The
yeah,
HOA says no, ma'am.
they were like, no, we're not allowed to have that. So we sold that house. We moved out to the country, and and I was trying to figure out something in between. Like at that time, it was shoes. We had our eyes set on Greenville at that
Mm-hmm.
time, but again, like we had 2 small children, and it was kind of like, okay, so we move from this area and
Mm-hmm.
move away from family for me to be able to continue to pursue
Mm-hmm.
this career,
Mm-hmm.
or we stay here and stay around family for the kids and for the support and everything, and then I just try and find something else. And at that time, I was working in government. I went from a government job to a government job. Like the idea of instability was terrifying. It was
Yeah.
terrifying. And there was a portion of me that felt like I was losing my identity, because I was like, okay, so now all of a sudden I'm not going to be a scientist? Like what?
Wow. Okay.
So that was a journey. That was really tough. I I got a job with HOA management. I called the owner of our HOA management company. I was on the board of our HOA, even though I
Mm-hmm.
turkeys. Like, just ignore that part. But I still was on the board of our HOA, and I called the owner of our HOA management company, and I was like, listen, I need a job. Like, I need you to
Mm-hmm.
hire me. I know you have positions open, just hire me. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. I hated it. I
I
hated
hate that. Yeah.
it.
HOA hard. Okay. So from environmentalist working at Coastal, now you're working with the HOA and you're like, hate it. So what was next?
So my real estate agent, after we finalized the sale of this homestead property, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Have you ever thought about being in real estate?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, you'd be really good at it." And I'm like, "No, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a salesperson. Like, I'm not." He's like, "You'd be surprised. Just come in and talk to my partner." And I was like, "Okay, you know." So they
Mm-hmm.
were gonna hire me for transaction coordinator, because I told him, I was like, I can't, like, I cannot do this commissions based. Like, I can't not have security, right? So
Right.
they were looking for a transaction coordinator, and they started interviewing me for that position. And it's funny, the 2 ladies that were interviewing me for that position, I'm really good friends with still today, Jill McNeely and Kat Marzola. And they were asking me all these questions, and I killed it. Like, I haven't killed it in that interview, Tasha, right? And then they
And
were
did.
like, yeah, they were like, you want to be a transaction coordinator? I'm like, this sounds super boring and like something I would not be good at.
Right.
And they were like, what? What'd you just say?
Yeah. I don't want to do this. Go ahead.
I was just being honest. Like, this does not sound like fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was spoiled because I had worked in my passion. Like, I was pursuing that career, and so it was hard for me to think about like going and doing paperwork coordination for agents. I just was like, this doesn't sound like me. But I think for whatever reason, those two, Jeremy and Scott, the two owners of the company, they saw in me. They were like, nope, she's meant for sales. Like, she's a salesperson. I hated
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, I am not a I am not.
I'm not a salesperson.
Yeah,
Says
like,
every realtor in the world,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I talked to Scott, and he was just like, okay, well, if you're not a TC and you're not comfortable with being an agent, how about we put you in a position that has a base pay plus a
Hmm.
commission, so you still get paid based on your performance, which there was a portion of that that was super intriguing to me because I have always just had, like, at that point in time, I'd always had a job that was a salary, and I am that, like, person, and I come from, like, an Asian family. We have to
Hmm.
prove things, like, we gotta always be the best. There's that competition there. So, like, I in every position that I have had, I've always wanted to be the best.
Mm.
So it's like, when you're in just a salary based position, if you're the best at that job, there's almost a really good chance that nobody wants to promote you or pay you more because you're really good at that job, right? And then,
Hmm.
like, God, I don't know how I could lose that person in that job because they're so
Hmm.
good at it. So this idea of having a base, which was security, not a lot. I mean, I did take
Right.
a pay cut, so there was definitely
Hmm.
risk there. I think I took like a $10,000 pay cut or more for that base. We'll call it quote unquote pay. It was more than $10,000 pay cut.
Hmm.
But then there was this idea of commission that came with it. And it was like, so you mean my competition side, my side that wants to be the best, that will do the best, will get rewarded? He's like, yeah. Like, well, what does that look like financially? And we
Hmm.
started running the numbers. And it was like, my whole goal was to be a professor and, teach other kids how to do things and help them through college and do research and all that stuff. And we started running those numbers, and I'm like, well, sure. Wait a second. To make that money as
Right.
a professor, I'd have to be a tenure professor, and God knows, like, I wasn't even close to professor status yet. Like, I still
Hmm.
had a whole another 4 years of school before I could get my PhD, and I was like, and then at that point, like, I'm maybe might be hired as a professor, and then I'd probably be
Right.
maybe might be making 50 grand a year, and then it maybe might take however long for me to break six figures and double that. And then he's running and showing me these numbers, and like, this is what it takes to make 50,000, this is what it takes to make
Hmm.
75,000, this is
Hmm.
what it takes to make 100. And I'm like, this is insanity. There are people out there that get paid based on the amount of effort they put into their job. Like,
What?
that was the catalyst there. That was the catalyst to everything after that.
Love it. Okay, so did y'all hear the nuggets she was dropping? Things did not work out the way that she planned. It's okay if it doesn't, still keep going, right? And so, from environmentalist to working at Coastal, thought professor was the route. Guess what? The whole country shut down and people lost their jobs. She was one. Was like, okay, what else can I do? Right? Life is going to knock you down sometimes. What else can I do? From that, she went on, was like, okay, here's this guy. I'm moving. We're going out here in the country. We're going to build our own sustainable house, home, homestead, whatever you want to call it. From there, was like, all right, okay, this is cool. What else? And then sold her house, did all the things. The guy was like, hey, maybe there's an opportunity for you over here. She's like, yeah, I don't know. And guess what? There was. And so from that, she's like, ooh, we all have, I know I have that internal, like, if I'm going to do it, I'm gonna do it,
Mm,
right? And so she was like, "Hey, I think there's something I can do." Saw opportunity. We all want that safety, the security of saying, "Okay, I've got this,"
for
but
sure.
there was still something in her that was like, and I still feels like there's more. And so from that, that's where I got to know her. All the things we told y'all that from the beginning, and I was actually like, when she came and was like, "I don't want to do this anymore." It's like, wait, what?
Right.
You're really good at it though. She's like, I know. But I feel like there's something else. Again, mind you, she was pregnant. I still feel like there's something else I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
And I was like, my girl really said, why not do it all? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay. And it was like the spark hit her. And she was like, I'm going to start a business. I was like, didn't you just have a baby? She was like,
Well, I was
yeah.
still pregnant. I was still pregnant.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She was
Yeah.
still pregnant then. And she was like, yeah. And I feel like I'm supposed to do this. And so all of this that we're talking about is known as Digital Recurve.
Yeah.
Is her new business, her new baby,
Recurve,
that
Recurve Digital.
Recurve Digital, sorry, you're right. And I saw it in my brain and still said it backwards. Recurve Digital. And it is a beautiful business that she and her husband, right,
Mm-hmm.
built where they help people with systems,
Yeah.
right? Because listen, one of the things that I've heard Alex say before, and I'm looking for it really quick. Uh, the quote, hold on, I had it because I've heard you say it a few times.
Oh, I have.
Uh, you do. It is, hold on, let me go. Alex's, where is it? And I just looked at it because I was like, okay, I don't want to forget to say. Oh, there it is. Alex says all the time, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. My girl is all about a system.
Mm-hmm.
And so she helps people on the back end of their businesses, correct me if I'm wrong, create systems so that they get more of their time back. Because we told you, Alex is a mom of 3 beautiful little babies, and they are 7.
1, 5, and 6.
Did you? 1, 5, and 6. All the mamas out there with the little ones. Did you hear her? 1, 5, and 6. And she started a business because she was like, she didn't want to miss the moments. We had conversations about that. Like in the corporate world or wherever she was before, it was go, 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 go. And you see your kids at the end of the day when you see your kids. And she was like, I want to be able to be there with them for the moments, first steps. I mean, my little scoot is what I call him.
Yeah.
But he like walking and all those things. And Alex was like, I'm going to start a business. And I was like, okay, girl. And we, talking through it, conversations back and forth. And then her husband was working
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of like, I think I need to bring him on, and then they went through some things with that and he went back to work and then he came back and was like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to build this together.
Yeah.
And, with Scoot in the background. Like the other two are old enough to be in school. And it was like, I was inspired by the fact that it was like, yes, this is hard and we can still do it. Right. From her kitchen table, I'd be, she actually helps me in my business on the back end, working my systems because I'm not a system person. I'm just going to raise my hand. I'm growing in the area of that. But the truth is, we all need a system, something that we can do that makes life easier in whatever we're doing. Real estate doesn't matter. Stay at home mom. You got a system. We waking up. We having breakfast at this time. We're eating snack at this time. That time. The systems were created to help you get what you want. I know. I was like, I'm not using a system. I don't need it. And it was like, but girl, you do. You need a system.
Yeah.
You do. Um, and so all of that. Okay, so then the spark hit you. You started doing the things, hiring people. When did you actually kind of realize, like, okay, I'm building this,
Mm.
and I'm at my kitchen table or the countertop or in the
In bed sometimes.
exactly. So when did you have that moment where it was like, okay, like I'm building something that I know will be big.
It probably, I mean, I think there was a lot of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these moments in over the last 5 years, I've kept like accidentally falling into these places of opportunity. And
Mm,
I think that's the way it happens, right? It's like there, when I left my last company, it was
mm,
because I felt like I was living outside of my values. And
yeah.
there were certain things that were just I loved the people, I loved, what I was doing, but it was go go go. It was like drop the kids off at daycare at like 7:30 in the morning, pick them up at 6 o'clock at night, and then it was really a lot, and that I couldn't keep doing.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, it took me a minute to realize that I was building something, honestly, because I just kind of needed to feed the family.
Mm,
I think that's where it was. It was like it's just a need to like to survive at first. It was a lot of that
mm,
because I was living outside of my values. I was not able to do certain things for me. I was pregnant, of course, so I was like putting on weight because I was pregnant, but I was stressed because I was doing all these things for somebody else and they owned my time. I felt like they owned my time.
mm. That's the nugget right there, y'all. Did you hear that? It is okay for you to evaluate and ask yourself, am I living outside of what I value?
Hmm.
And for her, it was time and controlling her time, and someone else had control of that, right? Am I right on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. For
Like,
sure.
it's okay for you to say, I feel like I'm living outside of what I value. What can I do to change that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a control freak, right? So it's like I wanted control, and that is a value. It just is. And then there were some other things that were like I am a systems person, and we were trying to build something big whenever I left with this group that
Mm,
we had something
mhm.
in production, we'll call it. And
Okay.
there were other people involved in that, and we weren't all on the same page, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, this is not like we're pushing this too soon. We're not
Hmm.
ready. And I voiced my opinion. And it just, I don't know. It just, they wanted to go one way. I wanted to go the other. And it hurt. It
Right.
felt like a really bad breakup. And I think it hurt for all of us. And we've talked through it. Like we're good today, but like we talked through it at that point. Like all of it hurt. But yeah, and then whenever I
Hmm.
left, it was like I just have to pay the bills. Like I just have to bring in what I was bringing. I needed to figure out. Like I calculated, what am I making monthly, and how do I find a way to make that
Hmm.
amount of money monthly? But I was talking to you about building a business because there was it was more than just making money. I just came to the conclusion like if I'm going to leave these people who I've been working with, who I've learned all of this stuff from, who I owe like all of a lot too, right? If I'm going to leave,
Hmm.
then I'm going to leave and do something with this. Like I'm not just going to go somewhere where I make the money. I need to, the big thing was my time. And so it just got
Mm,
to the point where it was like, I don't know that I ever really knew I was building something big other than I was like, I can't stop because now I'm in control of my time and we need to make this money. And so it just kept going.
do you hear me? Did you hear what she said? Like, I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I needed to feed my family. My husband and I started a bit, well, him and his brother, and me being his wife, started, it was 25 years ago, 26 years ago. He started his first business. And it was like, we got to feed this baby. Like, we had a daughter. And it was like, we got, what are we going to do? Like, we're working jobs, but daycare was so expensive that I was like, it made more sense for me to be home, but we still needed income. And so he started a business, had no idea what it was going to be, and now it's a franchise. Like, we didn't know. It was just like
Yeah,
we got to feed.
just go.
And another thing, I want to roll back to where she said, like, I left. It hurt us all. It was like a bad breakup. We talked through it. Did you hear that, guys? You can walk in the things that you know are for you, talk through all the things you need to talk through, and still be good with the people that you had to leave.
Yeah. There's a season, right? And you have to go, and I was angry with them. They were angry with me. Like there were a lot of emotions involved in it.
Hmm.
But sometimes you just have to go, you have to go through the hard stuff to get to the other side. And I do,
Right.
I think I did a lot for them. I think that they got to the place that they are today because of my contributions, not solely because of my
Right.
contribution, but
100%.
you know, there was a lot of contribution there. I think I am where I'm at today because of their contribution, not
Hmm.
solely because of theirs, but a lot of it. And
Hmm.
we have both. It's been 2 years now, for me doing Recurve, on my own and not working with them, but we still very much so. It probably took a solid year and a half
Hmm.
for us to say, like, okay, emotions are gone out of this now. Like, we understand We couldn't see it in the moment that this is what had to happen,
Right. Right.
that this was happening for a reason, but it was happening for a reason for all of us, you know?
100%. 100%. And so, y'all, we talk about all the time. We laugh and we joke. I have been, and actually, she does some really funny content around it. I'm like, you need to show the beautiful chaos. Like, yes, we have been on the Zoom. Scoot, Scoot comes crawling across the screen. You know, he's like, hey, y'all, and on to the next. Kids throwing stuff in the background. I know I have been there because I worked from home when mine were little for another company as well, where you are like, yeah, talking on the phone and you mute it real quick and you're like, be quiet. And then you're like, absolutely, I can do that.
That happens.
Absolutely. And you're hitting mute and then you can see your face like, stop. On our Zoom, she'd be like, hold 1 second. And be like, I said, be quiet. You could just see we've been on the phone and she's in there. And I'm like, are you chopping? Yes, girl. Got to get this food done. It's so beautiful to know that it does not have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. You don't have to hold on to waiting for the perfect time, the perfect amount of money, the perfect whatever, all the stories that we tell ourselves. You just have to decide, I'm going to start. Y'all, I know so many women that are in business and they started at home. Maybe you don't have to start at home. Maybe you're in your car. Y'all, I remember my first live when I went live, I was in my car and that's where it started.
Yeah.
And now it's a podcast, but I just had to make the decision that I was going to do it. All right. And Alex did that. She was like, I'm going to do this. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I've got to do it. And so, okay, let's talk about structure. When I said the quote that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. I was like, okay, wait, you know what? I got some goals. Okay, so maybe I need to rethink this whole system thing. Right. And so Alex, I talk about it all the time. I see smiles on her faces all the time. But when we start talking about back office systems, my girl is in a whole nother world. She's like, oh, and this. And I just nod my head. I have no idea what she's talking about. I'm like,
Like, every time we do our calls and I'm like, we got to do this and we're going to do that and we're blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, mm-hmm. You say nothing. You are not a quiet human. In those calls, you are a quiet human.
I know. I'm just like, And then what I love is she'll say, okay, let's stop. I can see the look. You have to do this and this and this. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm writing my notes like, oh, I can do that. But when she gets into the whole, and this system does this, and they're going to be able to register on your website. And I'm just like.
And then I'm like, are you okay?
And I'm like, yeah, can you just, and I'm like, what is my list? Because I just need my list. She's like, here's your things that you're supposed to do. And so tell them honestly what it is. Like, Recurve,
Yeah.
this is what you do for people.
Yeah. So but it's been a journey though, too. Like, I think it's
Right.
that's important to say, like, I can do a lot of things on the back end of the systems. And sometimes you just have to choose a thing or two, right?
Right.
That works. So right now, I think like we have done social media and we can build websites and we can create automations and automate your business and do all these things. But right now, I think what it really is creating a space, like two things. Okay. We are launching a new product and I'm super excited about it because it is a space, it's a hub for everything to go. So imagine if you are a business person, right? Like, and you have a team and they can just log in somewhere and all of their onboarding is done. And then when they enter in certain information, it creates a series of automations of things that maybe you or somebody else needs to do next, right? And then they log into the next thing. And there's a place where you can put announcements. There's a team calendar. There's links to all the important things, the softwares that they need to have. All of your training is in there and it's all custom and built out. All of your marketing. So, for like independent contractors, like real estate companies, all of your marketing, all your branding, everything is in there. So if an agent's about to go to an open house, like we've got our open house post template in there. We've got our feedback form template in there, all of that fun stuff. So, it's really just trying to make things simpler and easier and put them all in one place. And then on the other side of that, there's the CRM build out, right? We can do super in-depth CRM build outs, which take time. And, we're here going through that process with you. But if you are a marketer, there's a lot of marketers out there that sell leads or ways to get leads or whatever. But I think people struggle with in business. Well, what do you do when the lead comes into the system? Then what? Okay. And in real estate specifically, some of those online lead sources like Facebook and Google pay-per-click ads, they take like 18 months. Like, do you know people start looking at homes online like 18 months before they're actually ready to move? And so these leads come in they're 18 months, and then real estate agents be calling them like, hey, you want to buy a house? And then the lead is like, do not talk to me. I did not sign up forced registration on your website for you to be soliciting me, right? So something has to be done in that block, some sort of
Right.
value marketing, and we need to know where to put these people so we know how often we need to be communicating with them and
Hmm.
what is of value, because you're not going to send somebody who is looking to purchase a home 18 months from now to a lender to get pre-approved. Like, that doesn't
Exactly.
make any sense. That pre-approval will last for 2 months or 3 months, right?
Right.
So it's that side. It's organizing. We say back end systems, but it's like organizing your back end, like marketing systems, the things that actually make you money, right? Those
Yes.
are the because people spend so much money on marketing, they don't do anything once they get the lead.
Did you hear what she said? We spend so much money, energy, time, and effort on getting ourselves in front of people to real estate, whatever it is your business is. And then we're like, oh, well, I don't get leads. Yes, you do. Any woman that you talk to or any male that you talk to or who's like, oh, well, what did you do? That's a possible lead. They might need what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have I know for me, I'll use me as an example.
There's no
I
system.
do events. No system. I do events. And she's like, what do you do after your event?
How do you talk to your
Nothing.
people after your
Nothing.
event?
And I'm like, oh, like when I see them at other events, and it's like, no, you need a system that keeps you like, hey, I'm here. Don't forget. And even for me, it's like to let them know when you have another event.
Yeah.
To let them know, like, hey, I'm having another event. Hope to see you there. And it was like, oh, oh, okay. For me, I'm just like, wait, what? That's a system, y'all. So
Yeah.
if you don't know, if you're like me, not the most tech savvy person in the world, right? That's a system where you get the people that know, like, and trust you are building this. Because here's the truth. We talk about it in real estate. People are searching you before they ever come to anything that you have.
Yeah.
Any phone call with you, any conversation, or if they've met you somewhere, the first thing I do is go find them on social. I'm like, if somebody says a name, I'm like, oh, I don't know them. I write it down and I'm like, I'm the queen of a Facebook and Instagram stock. I'm going to tell you that upfront. I'm like, let me go see who this person is. Right.
But
So
there's
ask
so
her.
much noise in this world too that
Right.
if you don't, maybe they weren't ready for that moment, right? Maybe they weren't there. They weren't ready for whatever you provide the time that you met them. But all this noise in between, like if you're not cutting through the noise and providing value until they are ready, then you're going to get lost. And that's a problem with business owners for sure, because we wrap our ego into it and then we're like, people don't forget us. Like, yes, yeah, they do. They do forget you, unless you make them not forget you.
Thank you, girl. Listen, or they forget what you do. They
Yeah.
may remember you. I had a lady who I see all the time because our kids do activities together, and I saw a post on her page was like looking for a realtor. What? And I
Oh,
was
man.
like, I, I have her number, so I immediately was like, hello, and she was like, oh my gosh, I knew that. She knew it, and was still like, I did.
She just
I'm
didn't
so
think of it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, it's cool. But I was just like, girl. And she was like, and she knew it. And she was like, please, please. I was like, I'm not offended. But because I know you knew. And she was like, I just didn't even think about it. It was just like, oh, let me ask Facebook. And I was like, no. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. Okay, girl, it's you. She knew me. And when it came to, I do it all the time. I put a post the other day, like, I want to get this jacket thing made. And this lady I know, and in that moment, it did not dawn on me. I'm like, I know that's what she does, but I still didn't think about it that way,
Yeah.
right? So, y'all, as we are wrapping up, listen, we're, understand that your kitchen table, your desktop, your car, wherever it is, can be the catalyst for something so cool. So now her and her husband are, it's, I love it because it's beautiful for me to see. Like, being inside her world, like the beautiful transition that I've seen. I wasn't there for the environmentalists. I wasn't there for, the coastal parts and all of that. I came into her world in the real estate. Your life is a beautiful book. There are lots of moments in it, right? I didn't get to see the earlier moments, but I definitely am a part of the moments now that I get to see her and her husband. And they're so cute, y'all. I love them. Anyway, so they are like living in the muck of the beautiful chaos, still being intentional with spending time as a family. They went camping a couple weekends ago, spending time together. They have date night. Like, it's beautiful to see, like, you can grow something where you are.
But those are all systems. And I think the thing, like, those are systems. That's intentional. The camping trip was scheduled months in advance, and that was well, this is part of our system, and these are all intentional things that we're doing. So you use the word intentional all the time. And I don't think that I was always an intentional person. I think I was always just like, whoop, like, go that direction. Yeah. And so I'm trying to be more intentional now, and it is paying off. But I think the biggest thing that anybody that's listening to this that is either running a business or has thought about running a business, or even in just like career, mother wise, whatever, there was something. I was on my morning run this morning and I was like, I've got to say this on the podcast. Every time I go on a run, it hurts. It's hard, right? And sometimes I hit like these uphills and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it through. And then, I hit a downhill and I'm like, I got this, right? And it's like fun and easy. But the whole entire time, I'm not even going to lie, like the whole entire time, I'm like, man, it would be so nice to just walk this and listen to the birds, right? But then I have to constantly tell myself, just keep going. Like, you're almost there. Just keep going. You've got this. It's all in your head. Just keep going. And that's business. That's whatever your goal is. It's just, you just can't quit. Like, if I were to quit, then I wouldn't get to where I want to be. In January, the longest I could like physically be jogging for was 90 seconds. Like, I could not physically jog for longer than 90 seconds. It's
Wow.
March 25th. I ran a 5K today.
Period, friend. I love that. Did you hear her, y'all? That was a nugget, and I'm literally about to cry. Don't stop. Just keep going. It's going to be hard. You're going to have moments where you're like, I don't think I can do this anymore. But push yourself past the uncomfortable, whatever that is in your world, and it becomes more comfortable the more you do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? My God, you better run a 5K. I'm here for that. I'm so proud of you. That's
Like,
so
ran
cool.
it. Like, I ran it. Like I the whole
Guys, did
time.
you hear her say 90 seconds was all she had in the beginning, y'all?
3 months ago.
90 seconds. 3 months ago. And the growth. This is the thing I want y'all to understand. There's no set time on anything except the time you make up for it. It can take you a day, 6 months, 5 years. In 3 months, because of the consistency and the intentionality, I say that being intentional with saying, I'm going to run. I remember one day we were doing a Zoom and she was like, girl, just got back from my run. I'm like, girl, it's like 30 degrees outside. Is you crazy? She was like, I got to keep going. I have to keep doing it. And I'm like, girl, I'm under the blanket. But guess what? That next morning, I was out in my hat and my gloves, and my anemic self was out there in the cold doing my little walk, right?
Yeah.
It's about being intentional with the things that you say you're going to do, even when life tells you don't do them. Your brain says don't, right? So, y'all, Alex, oh my gosh, thank you so much, y'all. She was sharing some nuggets. I hope y'all were catching them. You can start from wherever you are.
Yeah.
For her, homestead, outside, baby, all the things.
And
Alex,
people need to know, like, I failed at a lot of that. I failed at so much. I failed so much in the past 5 years. Like I messed, and you know me, sometimes I had a potty mouth. I effed some stuff up bad, but I just didn't stop. I mean, I let myself cry. I had a moment, right?
She did.
And then I just got
What is mine? Let the moment be the moment. I'm
yeah.
like, you done, girl? She's like, yep. I'm like, all right, what we doing? And she's like, all right, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and moved
And you're
forward.
probably gonna mess up. And you're probably
You
gonna mess
are. Allow yourself room to mess up.
up. Mhm.
You will, and it's okay. But you'll learn. Did you learn from the mess ups?
Oh,
She
so
she
much.
hired and fired and hired and was like, yep, not the one, right? And so it was like, I'm like, what do you what, and she helps me with that. This is outside of our business relationship. Our friendship is like, well, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? And I'm like, the same with her. What are you thinking? Well, I'm thinking this, this, and this. All right, sounds like a plan. Like, and so delegating things, because she and I, we talk about it all the time. We want to be in control of all the things, but it's like, what part isn't mine? The back office system is 100% not mine. It's not. And I was trying to make it mine, and I'm up here crying, and it was like, why are you doing that? Why not say, you know what, this your part, here you go, girl, take it and do whatever I just need you to teach me how to do it, which is why I get my little list. Do this, this, and this, and that's it. That's my part. I can get you all the things, but don't ask me to do anything in the back office, because it's not my happy space. My girl, oh, the smile on her face when she is like, girl, and I did this, and I'm like, I just nod my head. And she's like, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? I'm like, no, I know. But it sounds very exciting because she's excited about
I'm
it.
excited, yeah.
Where I am like, give me the people. Let me talk to the people. And that's exciting for me. Like, I love that part. And she's like, yeah, nah, let me just do this back office stuff. Like, and she can talk to people. And she's just like, yeah, I'd just rather not. And I'm like, I'd rather not be in the back office stuff. So you see how beautiful friendships and relationships. Y'all, Alex, that was so powerful. She messed up. She got it wrong, but she kept going. All right. And so, every woman listening, my girl just gave you some beautiful nuggets. It does not have to be a perfect office, does not have to be perfect timing. All you need is to decide, I'm going to walk in this thing that I feel like is my next step and do it. So, we are encouraging you, start where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, my friend, thank you so much for being here. Y'all, I'm going to have her information in the show notes so that you can connect with her. I know some of y'all need what she's offering. Don't play. I know you do. Okay. Do a consultation with her. Get in her world, because there's so many businesses that can have so much more reach if they just create the systems that they need. Okay. You need a system. Don't tell yourself you don't. You do. And so I love that you are living proof that you can build something so beautiful, so special in the middle of it all. From a kitchen table, from a car outside, after a run, or whatever, you can build whatever it is that you want. And before I let you go, I love the rapid fire session of every episode. It's my favorite. All right, so I'm going to ask you questions. First thing that comes to mind, I want you to shout it out. All right, you ready?
All right.
Morning person, night owl.
Morning person.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I know it 100%. Your favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Ooh. Ooh. Those like sour cream and sour cream and cheddar chips.
Like one word your kids would use to describe you.
Oh, that's a good one. Depends on if they're sucking up to me or if they're telling the truth. Intense, probably. Like a lot. A lot.
Okay, a lot. Okay. Biggest business pet peeve?
Follow through. Like people not following through.
Okay, like it. Best song to get you hyped before you got a meeting, girl.
I don't know the name of it, but it's like going down. I don't know the name.
What?
Of it. I don't know. It's some like EDM song, and I'm just like running round my head. It was on Love Island. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Okay, y'all. It's something on Love Island. Get running
Yeah.
around. Okay, y'all find it. Figure it out. What's the last thing you Googled?
the last thing I Google a lot? Hold on, let me look this up. Singleton Eye Clinic to get more contacts.
I love that. If you could work anywhere in the world for 1 month, where would it be?
On a farm, on a sustainable farm.
I told her she's my outdoor friend. And when I told her I can cook, she got to do the outside stuff, but I got the meals. I'll make the prep. Y'all, that was good, Alex. The Google took me out. That was my favorite part. Eye clinic. Go get your contacts, girl. Thank you so much, y'all, Alex, for being here. Y'all, she dropped some gems today. I hope that you guys were catching them. No matter what it is that you decide to do, be intentional about it. Don't worry about what other people have to say about it, and just get started. Alex, thank you so much for being on it. Squad Podcast. Give her a clap, round of applause, because she's absolutely amazing. I will have her information for you to be able to connect with her. Even if you don't need, you feel like I don't need her, do the consultation and follow her on social, because those reels with her kids are like, I'm trying to tell you, they are hilarious when she's on there showing the things that happen in her life concerning her business and her children. Y'all have an amazing, wonderful day. Remember, your purpose connects to someone else. They cannot walk in theirs until you are walking in yours. Squad, we will see you next week for another amazing episode. Y'all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I always forget that part. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you are in the know. If you haven't already, hop on over to tochamoore.com, sign up so that you are in the know of everything combat ready, because we are always fighting for the best version of you. I will see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.